Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we finally get to start taking a look at more of the beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur series, as we've got Wave 2 here, or a few of Wave 2, not all, just a couple, because, David Silva was absolutely awesome and sent out a few of these, Wave 2 figures to a few different people early to check out, and I was lucky enough to receive a few myself, and, even luckier to get the one that I was probably most excited about for this wave. We've got the Lythronax, and I am so hyped to take a look at this one because I think the model overall looks fantastic. The sculpt looks great. The paint looks great. Just in general, again, one of probably not just of Wave 2, but overall, the entire Tyrannosaur series. Definitely one of the ones that I was most hyped for. And you can see the box art looks great, as it always does. We've got the Lythronax name there on the side. Tyrannosaur series, as well as 1/18 scale down there on the bottom, beasts of the Mesozoic up there on the top, and then some gorgeous artwork over here on the side of the box showing off the Lythronax eating a little baby Diabloceratops, which we got, not too long ago with the beasts of the Mesozoic line. And then if you take a look here at the bottom, you can see all the information that we usually have down here, including information on the figure itself and the Creative Beast Studio website, where you can head on over and grab yourself all of the beasts of the Mesozoic figures that are currently available. And then over here on the side, again, the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo, and then you've got more of the window area over there. And then if you take a look here at the back of the box, you can see a gorgeous image of our Lythronax, information on the dinosaur and everything, as well as information on the figure itself, and then a checklist down here of all of the Wave 2 Tyrannosaurs, and we've got quite a few this time around, all of which look absolutely epic in the best possible way. So let's pop this out of the box and check it out. So first of all, something I really want to show off to you guys right away is the artwork there that's on the inside of the box. You usually have a really nice backdrop, normally of like the habitat of whatever dinosaur is contained within, but this time when it comes to the Lythronax box art here on the inside of the box, you can see we have an awesome image here showing off quite a few Diabloceratops, and honestly, that is not only the perfect place to display your Lythronax right here, it's also a really nice place to actually take the Diabloceratops figures, the entire family of them, from the Beasts of the Mesozoic, and you could display those here as well. Really nice backdrop as far as a display goes. And then, of course, you also have the tail assembly instructions, something that is always very important to listen to, something you definitely want to read, because otherwise you could damage the figure if you don't apply the pieces correctly. And it's not just the tail assembly, this also kind of gives you a rundown as far as how you would like switch out the legs and stuff like that for, extra articulation and everything like that. So definitely very important to read if it's your first time buying one of these figures. Then we've also got the card, and you can see we've got some awesome artwork on the card. Again, the image that we had seen basically on the front of the box, but we now have it in kind of like a trading card style, which is definitely some of the nicest artwork I think I've seen in the Tyrannosaur series. Like, I just really like that. And then here on the back of the card, you can again see a little dino toy photography up there, as well as some information on the figure and the species and everything like that. So of course it's always great to have these cards included. I love the cards. We've also got ourselves the base, and as you can see, we've got a nice earthy area here for the base, kind of almost like your standard when it comes to what you usually have for a Tyrannosaur series release when it comes to the bases. You've got a nice peg and everything there to hold the figure on, and you've also got some interchangeable feet here, which you can see. You've got a set of feet with open toes, and you've also got a set of feet with more kind of closed toes. They look more like toes almost as the dinosaur would be walking along. So you do have the ability to switch out the feet and, change up whatever positioning pose, whatever you would like to do with the figure. You can definitely do with these interchangeable feet. And you also have these legs right here, because these legs here are more articulated than the legs that we actually have on our Lythronax currently. The legs that are on there, the ones that come with it initially, kind of are like less articulated, sort of stiff, good if you're going to use to pose the dinosaur up on one leg. You definitely want to use one of the stiffer legs, I would say. But you can see, again, we definitely have a little bit more articulation on those legs. And, of course, the star of the show, the Lythronax itself. Move the base over, And there is the Lythronax in all its glory and standing very nicely. And I must say, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. It easily might be one of my favorite Tyrannosaurs straight off the bat. It might be my favorite when it comes to the actual paint so far, even though I was a big fan of the last few that I have, acquired and reviewed. There's just something about this Lythronax that is incredible. And of course, one thing straight away would be the fact that it is a Lythronax. Never in a million years would I have expected to one day have a super articulated Lythronax. That is cool enough, but the actual paint scheme, paint job, paint application, everything about that as well looks great. And I briefly looked at the eyes. You'll see it more when we get a closer look, but I think the eyes might be my favorite eyes so far on any of these Tyrannosaur series releases. So, without further ado, let's jump to a closer look at this gorgeous Lythronax right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Lythronax, you can see how nice the skin texture looks, and one of the reasons I think you can see how nice it looks is because of the expertly painted face that we have for our Lythronax. You can see they've applied some really nice washes to bring out the detail of the face in perfect fashion. Really nice, really subtle washes, just adding a little extra color variation, a little extra depth to the color of our Lythronax. And I love the really subtle additions, using kind of almost like a bluish green sort of a light wash right here, just adding that little element of flashiness there in the tip of the snout. You can also see the nostrils there highlighted with a darker tone as well. As you lead up along the top here of the head, you can see again some darker washes have been applied. You've also got some nice darker washes highlighting the scale detail, the much smaller and finer scale detail there in the palate area. It all looks super nice, really impressive paintwork. Like I said, probably one of my favorite paint jobs I've seen on any beasts of the Mesozoic figure. And as I stated, the eyes look great. Look at how realistic that eye looks. There's actually a little extra color variation within the eye. I don't know how good it's picking up here on camera, but here in person, the paintwork of the eye is absolutely gorgeous, and you can see that very nice gloss coat really making that eye have an extremely realistic eye shine. You can see again that we've got some nice paintwork there for the crests up there on the top of the head, as well as a nice black coloration that kind of circles around the eye and stripes almost up into the palate, but kind of cuts off there pretty quickly. And you can see that black leads down here into the neck, but it absolutely looks awesome here as far as both the sculpt and paintwork of the face. And of course, it has an articulated jaw because it's a Beasts of the Mesozoic figure. That's to be expected. But you can see the inside of the mouth looks awesome as well. Again, really nice pinkish tone, looks to be like a reddish wash in there. All the teeth are sculpted individually, painted individually. You can see we have those trademark teeth that you would find on our Lythronax, sculpted really nicely there on the inside of the mouth. And again, painted very carefully, very precisely. You never see sloppiness on a Beasts of the Mesozoic figure. I really don't think I've seen that yet. You can see that the skin there, kind of when you open the mouth, the skin stretching looks great as well. Again, as you have the pink and reddish tones in there. You've got the throat there on the back of the mouth, or in the back of the mouth, I should say, here of our Lythronax. And it also has a very nice gloss coat, making everything on the inside of the mouth have that nice saliva-like look. And just in case you are wondering, yes, the tongue does articulate in there. I just tried it out to make sure, and it absolutely does articulate. You can get a nice look here at the opposing side of the face and everything, and how nice it looks over here as well. As you lead back, you start to see some very light brownish tones kind of overtaking the face. You can see the ear right there as you move back. A little extra color variation here as you move down into the underside of the neck and throat. You got some nice kind of skin wrinkles and skin creases down here as you move down into the neck and throat area. Some nice variations of browns, as well as, again, quite a bit of coloration as you move through. You've got these yellowish browns and stuff up here in the face, but they start to disappear as you have these darker variations of blacks and browns kind of overtaking the head here in striping leading down here. And then it starts to become a large portion of the body color. And as we move the dinosaur, back and forth there, really let the light hit it, you can see how nice the actual skin texture and scale detail looks on the figure. And you've also, again, got some of these lighter tones kind of showing up sporadically as you move through. You've got spots of it, and then areas a little bit larger up here on the top. And you see more of that as you move here into the back. You kind of have some big splotches of those lighter tones up here on the back of the dinosaur, but they're really nicely applied. absolutely as realistic and naturally applied as I could possibly imagine. And as you move down here into the side of the dinosaur, you have more of that going on, kind of just like, almost like those lighter tones and the black tones almost battling it back and forth there as they just kind of try to overtake the body. There's just a whole lot going on. As far as the coloration goes, you have more of those variations of browns here as you move down toward the arms, and then as you move down into the arms, you can see the arms are sculpted quite nicely. We have some nice muscle definition there. As you move down into the fingers and everything, they look great as well. Nicely sculpted nails and nicely painted nails with a grayish tone. And as we move down, you have articulation. Of course, you've got a spot of articulation right here, as well as a spot of articulation there at the bottom of the neck. And that allows for some really nice posability for your Lythronax to kind of turn the head and stuff and get some nice poses going on. But you have more of that as you move down into the arm, as you have the arm in the shoulder, and you can see it moves forward and back and also out away from the body a little bit. So you can go in and out. You've also got the elbow, which is really nice, and the elbow swivels, as well as the wrist. And I believe the wrist does the same. Yep, definitely swivels. But as you move down here a little bit further into the lower part of the stomach, you have some really cool greenish tones showing up. Yet again, they seem to have been applied almost with like a wash, which really makes it, again, a very subtle addition to the paintwork of the figure that I really like. You've also got another spot of articulation here in the midsection, which moves pretty nicely. Definitely gives you a little extra articulation right there. As you move back, you can now start to see those black tones kind of decreasing as we have more of the lighter body color showing up, and it almost looks like we've kind of switched positions here on those colors, because now you have the black kind of showing up sporadically and almost, I would say, kind of splotching in a similar way to what we had seen from the lighter tones earlier, but rather than in the center, we now have them kind of off to the side, and you see more variation of color, surprise, surprise. As you move down here into the thigh, you can see very nice dark browns, you've got lighter browns, you even have off-whites as well as like pinkish tones. Again, lots of really cool colors on the Lythronax, and I think it all looks really nice and naturalistic. Definitely something that I feel like I could see on the color of this dinosaur. If it just walked down my street, I would not be surprised to see it looking just like this. But you can again see really nice muscle definition in the thigh. You've got some nice skin detail here in the back of the thighs. You have like skin kind of wrinkling and stretching. You've also got the knee right there in the front of the leg. You can see again really nice washes applied to the figure there as far as those browns. And then as you move down, you've got a nice big bulging calf muscle. And then we lead down into the foot sculpt. You can see the foot sculpt darkens very nicely with, again, like some scoots down the front of the foot, but you can see it darkens with some really dark variations of browns that kind of run down the course of those scoots, but then you have lighter browns there as you lead down into the sides of the toes. And then you again have those grayish tones for the nails. These, like I said earlier, are the less articulated legs for the dinosaur. This particular set of legs, we only have articulation in the hip, which does move really nicely, and then articulation in the knee, which is a little stiff, but definitely works. So you do have some articulation, of course, in these legs, but you do have a little bit more as you move down into the other legs. But as we lead up here into the tail, you can again see some more skin wrinkles, some more nice scale detail, some more variation of color. As you lead out, you've got some nice variations of browns. You have more of those pinkish tones. You've got some more greens, more blacks, kind of striping, just giving this a really nice flashy element here as you lead out. And you can see the black increase as we lead out further into the tail and get bigger as far as that striping goes. And then as far as articulation moving out into the tail, you've got a spot right here, which works really nicely, which is exactly where you actually have to connect the tail. You've got another spot right here, which has some decent mobility, and then another spot right here, and this little area out here has a nice wire to it, so you can articulate the tip of the tail quite nicely as well. We've also got really nice sculpt and detail here as you lead down along the underside of the Lythronax, which is something, again, that is to be expected because the beasts of the Mesozoic sport some of the most highly detailed sculpts you'll ever see anywhere, which is something that I'm very happy about. You're not really going to see much difference on this side, of course, because it is a fully articulated figure, so it's up to you to kind of move the body around and display it how you want, but you can see everything looks just as consistent, just as absolutely gorgeous on this side as it did on the first side. And one thing that I really did want to do was kind of look at the dinosaur head on, because I've seen quite a few comments recently online about people talking about how weird the dinosaurs look when you look at them from straight on, and I think this one looks awesome. Like, the eyes look like they're looking pretty much directly at me, and absolutely nothing about this looks off or strange to me. I think they did a great job on that as well. So definitely a stellar dinosaur, definitely a stellar Lythronax from the beasts of the Mesozoic. And then we've got our base, and you can see the base is basically like some rocky formations with some vegetation here and there. You've got a nice little area of vegetation here in the center, which actually sports some variation of color to it. Again, you can see some slightly different greens and stuff, as well as browns have been added. The rocky areas definitely seem to have a few different shades of browns and stuff, as well as a nice brownish wash that have been applied. Extremely highly detailed sculpting, especially when you look at the rocky formations. Again, as we kind of turn the model here, as we turn the base around and give you a nice look at how highly detailed it is, it looks really good. Again, the actual sculpt and detail of the rocky formations, as well as the vegetation, just looks about as realistic as it honestly gets. So the base looks awesome as well. And then, of course, we've got one of the other legs that sports extra articulation. So the areas that articulate on this that didn't on the original leg that we had taken a look at would be right here. You can see it's going to be very stiff because I haven't actually moved it yet, but you can articulate this spot. It'll wear in, of course, and if it doesn't, heating this up as well is a great way to really loosen the joints up. But then you've also got a spot of articulation down here, which can swivel, and then also move up and down, giving you a little extra mobility. I think this swivels potentially. Yes, it definitely does, so you can swivel that as well. But you can see that the paintwork, again, looks just as nice, just as consistent here on the extra legs as it did on the initial legs that we had taken a look at, just again, some extra articulation. And then, of course, something to keep in mind if you are going to be using the base, you can see when it comes to the articulated legs, there is no peg hole. You need to use one of these less articulated legs because they have the peg holes there on them. But when it comes to kind of putting the dinosaur on the base, you basically just need to line up the peg hole there with the peg itself and then slide it on there. And I'm not going to put it on fully right now, but that's basically how you would apply it. But I don't really want to bother kind of winding the dinosaur down onto the base yet because we need to get a size. We need a nice measurement, and of course I would prefer to measure the dinosaur here standing on its own on the review station rather than on the base. So when it's standing in what I feel like is a fairly nice naturalistic position, for a length you are looking at about the 16 and a half, just shy of 16 and a half inches, or just shy of 42 centimeters. And then as far as the height goes, and this is of course up to you and your preference, but in the position it's in right now, you're looking at a little over 6¼ inches or 16 centimeters. But the height would of course vary depending on the positioning that you have the figure in, because you could of course position it up really high and now it's way taller. So it's really, again, your call as far as how you want to articulate and position your Lythronax to pose it. But as far as the size comparison goes, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Beasts of the Mesozoic Lythronax. And you can see again next to these figures that the Lythronax absolutely sports a very nice, very impressive size. Considering it is 1/18th scale, you kind of expect that. And then when it comes to another comparison, we have a Mattel Ankylosaurus here stepping in to size up next to our Lythronax to again show you that the Lythronax is quite a bit larger. Then another figure that I commonly use for comparisons, we've got a Mattel Velociraptor stepping in to stand next to our Lythronax. Then we've got a comparison that I'm certain many people would like to see, as we have the Beasts of the Mesozoic Diabloceratops, who we saw making quite a few appearances there on the artwork for this figure, and you can see how both the adult and babies there size up next to our Lythronax, and some very cool dioramas could definitely be made with these figures. We've also got an attack taking place here as the PNSO Lythronax tries to take a bite out of the arm of the Beasts of the Mesozoic version, but just in case you happen to have purchased the PNSO version recently, then this should help to give you an idea of a size next to that one. And then for one final size comparison, we have the Beasts of the Mesozoic 1/35th scale T-Rex next to the 1/18th scale Lythronax. Now you would think that I would want to bring in the 1/18th scale T-Rex to put next to the 1/18 scale Lythronax, but I kind of feel like the 1/35 scale version is more of a popular figure just because it was a little bit cheaper, so it's more of the comparison that I feel like would kind of reach out to more people, just because I feel like that one is a little bit more popular. I see a lot more people posting images and talking about the 1/35 scale version more so than the 1/18 scale version, just because it's a little bit pricier. So hopefully you happen to have at least one of the figures we've displayed here next to it compared with it, but at the very least, you know, if you are a Beasts of the Mesozoic collector, I would think you would probably have the T-Rex. So this brand new 1/18 scale Beasts of the Mesozoic Lythronax is absolutely gorgeous, like easily one of my favorite Tyrannosaurs so far. I feel like this wave 2 may be their strongest wave yet, because we have some really cool species in the line with this wave, and just generally, you know, a Lythronax in the Beasts of the Mesozoic line, like, does it get much cooler than that? They did a great job on the sculpt, again, super highly detailed sculpt, all kinds of really nice skin wrinkles, skin folds, very accurate. You know, we've got lips and everything for the Lythronax, which is something that at this point in time we love seeing on our Tyrannosaurs, and I think it looks great with the addition of lips. And you can see again through the entire course of the figure, it just looks excellent when it comes to the sculpt. And the paint job as well is gorgeous. They did a great job of choosing a color scheme that looks really quite flashy, but at the same time naturalistic enough that I feel like I could definitely see this coloration on a living, breathing version of this dinosaur. They did a very good job of applying the paint as well, as they've used a lot of really nice variation of color. Again, tons of really nice, really smooth color, smooth application of the color. There's a lot going on as far as the patterning and everything on this, so it could very easily have looked more like paint on a figure, but I feel like they definitely achieved that realistic kind of skin color sort of a look. There's some nice transitions back and forth as well, and they've done a very good job of adding in lots of really nice, really subtle washes. I think even better than I've ever seen before on a Beasts of the Mesozoic figure. So it's really cool to continue to watch the evolution of the Beasts of the Mesozoic as they continue to somehow just get better and better and better. And again, the paint jobs I think have never been better on a Beasts of the Mesozoic figure than what I'm seeing here for not only this, but, you know, some images that I've seen of a lot of the other Wave 2 figures. And then, of course, you have tons of articulation, which is always something that we love. We love having articulated dinosaurs nowadays, so having lots of articulation all over this figure allows you to create some really cool poses, really cool display options, as well as, again, being perfect for dinosaur toy photography and creating some really dynamic poses and scenes. And you've got a nice base to go with the dinosaur, so if you are like me and you're just probably going to display it in some kind of a really cool position and throw it up on a shelf and just, you know, stare at it with love every single day, the base is a great addition to these figures. I always love having a base with any dinosaur figure. So if you are interested in grabbing yourself one of these, I would recommend getting an order in right now before they start shipping, because they will be shipping very soon and you don't want to be the last one receiving your Lythronax, so make sure you get that order in through the link that I will include in the description that will take you straight to the listing for this Lythronax on the Beasts of the Mesozoic website. And make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.